This is the Talkin Bout the Hoosiers podcast, presented by HoosierIllustrated.com.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Talkin Bout the Hoosiers podcast, presented by HoosierIllustrated.com. I'm joined by Kyler Staley. I'm Drew Rosenberg, and we have a breaking news episode, our first emergency podcast of the 2025 recruiting class. Trent Sisley, four-star forward, Indiana native, Montverde Academy, has committed to play for Mike Woodson in Indiana basketball.
Yes, he has. And, it's been a long recruitment for Indiana basketball and Trent Sisley. He was offered before he even played a single high school game. One of Mike Woodson's very first offers that he ever extended when Mike Woodson took over as head coach. Indiana did a phenomenal job with this recruitment. Stayed consistent throughout the 4 years, even with Sisley going down to Montverde Academy to finish off his high school career. I mean, Indiana's just never – their interest in Sisley has just never wavered at all. He's always been at the top of the radar when it comes to the 2025 class, and it's finally paid off. Originally, Sisley had visits scheduled for Purdue, Michigan State, Notre Dame, and all those schools, but Indiana obviously wanted out. Sisley's coming off of his official visit to Indiana over the weekend, so I think there was a silent commitment there. There was rumblings yesterday. Crystal balls were dropped by 24/7 Sports. That Sisley was committing there, but Indiana finally has their very first commitment for the 2025 class, and honestly, you can't really start off with a better get than what Trent Sisley is.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned in-state kid. It's something we talked about. Indiana needs to win the in-state battles. Purdue has won those battles a lot recently, and landing Sisley, there's a lot of really good talent coming on the 2025 class in state, but Sisley is a great starting place for Mike Woodson.
Absolutely. And then the big thing about the 2025 class is that there's a lot of high profile in-state guys. It's honestly one of the better in-state classes that we've seen in Indiana for quite a while. So, obviously throughout the recent years, Purdue has really won the battle when it comes to getting the in-state guys, and Matt Painter's done an absolutely great job with those guys. So the 2025 class was kind of looked at as the class that, okay, this is where Indiana has a chance to take back the in-state guys, to really get those guys back at, an Indiana uniform. Not saying that, obviously they're in good position with guys like Braylon Mullins and Jalen Harrelson as well, but starting with Sisley, a true program guy that I feel like is probably going to be at Indiana for a while, and can develop pretty nicely into maybe a future NBA player. But you get a guy like that, a building block guy like that, it really opens up, for the chances for them to land Braylon Mullins, who was Trent Sisley's Indiana Elite teammate, and then Jalen Harrelson, who Trent Sisley actually played AAU with at Indy Heat for his first 3 years. So Trent Sisley obviously is going to turn into one of Indiana's bigger recruiters at this point. But it's just overall, it's a great pickup. It's a versatile wing. That's a guy that easily will fit into Mike Woodson's system. A guy that can play, inside and out very well, and he has an improved 3-point game as well. So a very versatile player that you start off with, and you start off with one of the, the top forwards in the nationally in the class.
Yeah, I don't want to say Sisley seemed like a lock, but it seemed like of the in-state guys, Sisley was the guy that was the most certain to commit to Indiana. But another guy you did not mention, Eric Reeb, who was on the visit with Trent Sisley and Braylon Mullins. We talked about it on the podcast last week. Last weekend was a huge weekend. Woodson already, I guess, 1 for 1 now on that on the visit, and it's going to be interesting to follow, I guess, Reeb and Braylon Mullins' recruitment moving forward.
Yeah, like you said, they were on campus together. Was a pretty big weekend for them as well. So the good thing about, I would say, the top 4 guys that Indiana was looking at, Trent Sisley commits right there. You've still got Mullins, you've got Harrelson as well, and Reeb. You mentioned it. All 4 of those guys are just different positions, different skill positions. So it's not like one commits and the other one you won't see him in an Indiana jersey. It's just a well balanced group that Indiana is recruiting. So I think Indiana sits pretty well with Eric Reeb as well. From all accounts, it looks like it was a really good visit over the weekend. And honestly, the big thing is that you got the first domino to fall, and I think right after this you're going to start seeing more and more of those pieces start to fall, not just with Indiana but all the other schools as well that were recruiting. Trent Sisley, those guys got to go elsewhere to try to find the guy to replace that recruitment. But once again, it was just a really good recruitment, a really solid, consistent recruitment by Mike Woodson in Indiana, and they should feel really, really accomplished with this pickup.
Yeah, this is good. It's the first 2025 class is really the first class Mike Woodson has had the chance to recruit from the start So it's good to see him landing these guys. And you mentioned, we've talked about Braylon Mullins a ton on the podcast. Sisley's teammate, Mullins, I think it came out today, he's likely going to commit end of October, early November is what was said. So seeing his boy, Trent Sisley commit definitely is going to help. They took the visit together, clearly a relationship there. Sisley, you mentioned the relationship with Harrelson, visited with Reeb. His commitment being immediately after the visit can only be good for the other recruitment battles.
Yeah, like I said, Trent Sisley is going to turn into one of the bigger recruiters for this Indiana team. He's obviously going to be reaching out to Braylon. He's going to be reaching out to Jalen, and he'll probably be reaching out to Eric. Trying to get those guys to come with him. But like I said, it's a great building block piece. For the 2025 class, he's a top 70 kid. He's going to come in. He has a chance to play right away. He's going to get developed into a really, really nice player, and just overall, big pickup by Indiana, and you can't really start off the 2025 class, much better than that.
And it's also the modern wing we've kind of talked about wanting to see in Woodson's system. I mean, there's been talks about the new offensive system. So Sisley is a piece that should fit in that system, obviously, but also landing a player this early in the recruitment season versus in the past years. People complained Woodson wasn't getting guys till the spring. You land an early commitment and maybe could stack up some early commitments and have this recruiting class wrapped up relatively early.
Yeah, and the good thing is that you get a few guys to commit, in the fall. It really helps out with the transfer portal as well, because then you have less guys less spots you really got to replace. You go in with a little bit more focused, this is what we need to get, instead of just trying, throw your eggs at a bunch of different baskets out there. You know what I mean? So it's a good start for Indiana, definitely for sure, when it comes to the fall. And I think within the next few weeks, you're going to start to see hopefully other commitments happen across other teams, and hopefully you'll see a couple of these guys Indiana start to land as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good building block you mentioned for Mike Woodson in this recruiting class. You got to get the first one. The first domino has fallen. I think Alec had a story a couple days ago to kind of hinting at it. So good to see Trent Sisley committing. It was a really fast commitment after the visit, and just a great start to the recruiting class for Indiana basketball. As always, for all things IU athletics, Indiana basketball, football, recruiting, make sure to follow Indiana_FRN on Twitter, Facebook, and check out the HoosierIllustrated.com website. We have this full scouting report on Sisley. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube. Hoosier Illustrated is also partnered with Tom Brady's company Autograph to streamline our coverage so you can do what you do best, follow IU sports. Use the code IndianaFR to get started today. Thank you for tuning in to Talkin Bout the Hoosiers podcast. We'll have an episode later this week.